Thank you. I find that I have some prepared remarks with me, and the good news is that they're very short. Salaam alaikum. I'm your mayor, Rob Burton. I'm asking for your vote October 22nd. I've led our town to success for the last 12 years. Success at controlling growth, debt, and taxes. Success at saving and even creating new green space. Success at creating the community facilities that we needed and didn't have in the days of crazy growth before I became mayor. I've cut growth to half as fast as it was before I was elected. And I couldn't help but take note of the brothers' words of wisdom for you about being engaged in the community. And I thought I would mention my two-word concept for how to do that. I call it engage and expand. What I did when I moved to Oakville, I didn't know anybody. Perhaps you may have experienced something like that. And in my neighborhood, a bunch of neighbors got together and decided that we should have a residents association, a neighborhood association, where we would get to know each other. We would have a street party. We would socialize together. We would look after each other. We would have each other's back. This, I thought, was a beautiful spirit of Oakville, and I engaged in that. And that expanded my network. That expanded my knowledge of the town. And the residents association that I was part of was very active and got involved in the issues of the day, and we shared our knowledge and our feelings. And we were very effective. In fact, you could say I became mayor because of that residents association starting up and saying, Rob, you should join and be part of trying to make Oakville better. It happened right at the street level where you live. And I've preached for 12 years to everybody in the community that we should all engage together and expand the activities that we do together. And we will have a better and stronger community for that effort. So we now face a major threat in our town. Club Link is appealing our decisions to save the Glen Abbey Golf Course. The next mayor and council will control the fight to save Glen Abbey. And none of the challengers against me, and only one of the challengers against the rest of council, have ever shown up or even said a word in the entire 3-year process that we've been through to save Glen Abbey. Now, isn't that just a little bit curious? That people would come forward to run who never participated at all? If you are getting the feeling that this is the Club Link election, I share your opinion. I share that feeling. These challengers with no track record want us to trust them with control of the fight. This is not the time for beginners. All we would get if we change horses in midstream is a defeat and the loss of Glen Abbey forever. If our growth controlling and neighborhood protecting official plan can be broken at Glen Abbey, it can be broken on my street, it can be broken on your street. That's why this matters to you. That's why it matters to everyone. Now, as your mayor, I know that taxes matter too. I have one vote on all the parts of your property tax bill. All of them except the smallest one. And I've kept total tax increases at or below inflation, and they're trending downward. I manage everything to the bottom line. And when people tell you that your taxes have gone up, I just ask, go check your tax bill, and then you'll see who is telling you the truth. I also cut the debt that is carried by our property taxes by 88%. And even so, I was able to almost double our community facilities. I even got us our new hospital without having to put the local cost on our property tax the way the province forced Milton and Burlington to do. Next term, Council and I have already authorized improvements to traffic. We will widen major roads, build the Wycroft Bridge to Burl Oak, add smart traffic lights, build a new downtown streetscape, and add new parking. We've also approved a new library for North Oakville and a rec center on the old hospital site. In my time as your mayor, we've come from 30th to first place in the Money Sense magazine list of the best places to live in Canada. We've also been Canada's safest community the entire time that I've been your mayor. And I have been, I believe, a valiant defender of the community against the forces of ignorance and hate. And I won't go into the occasions. You either know about it or you don't. But I will just leave that with you. Our town's success in the last 12 years has left everybody better off. So please vote to keep me, Rob Burton, as your mayor, working for you and our town's continued success. Inshallah, I will win. And salam alaikum. I wasn't going to steal the microphone, but I'm now supposed to be at the WIM, at the World Islamic Mission Mosque on 9th Line, so I beg your forgiveness if I dash out of here, but more brothers are waiting for me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, we have Mrs. Ann Marsden, who's running for the regional chair. Another important position. She's basically the boss of all bosses when it comes to all the municipalities. Alton. And so we're here for her.
Good afternoon. This is the first time I addressed in a mosque, an Islamic audience, was way back in the 90s. And your Imam spoke some very wise words which brought those memories back when he was talking about commitment and find out who your candidates are. My commitment to serving the people began at 7 years of age when I made my commitment in front of a brownie pack which said, I promise to do my best, to do my duty, to serve God and the Queen. And that means no less to me today than it did then, and there's quite a few decades passed since then. So, the next time my commitment came was when I saw what things were happening in our community, and the first family that Dave and I assisted was actually an Arabian Muslim family who lived in Milton. And I saw a sign on his property, and I just knew I had to go in and talk to this man whose name was Moses, which happens to be my nickname actually, because I walk with a staff too. And his first words to me were, God sent you, didn't he? And I said, you're absolutely right, but let's find out what problems are. And so I found out I was absolutely floored. If I was in England, I'd say gobsmacked, but I was absolutely floored to hear that the SWAT team had been brought into Milton Court, and he showed me the article in the Globe and Mail because I didn't actually believe him. I thought he was pulling my leg. At a child protection hearing, and that they'd taken his child and put her in a foster home, and they just didn't know where to turn. And here I am at his doorstep, so I said, okay, first of all I must get the files, which was very difficult to do, but I got his files. I went forward and I told them they had no right to be putting a SWAT team in court with all the police resources that took for this family who didn't even own a gun, and the whole thing had started by just an expression. He was angry when he came home, found his wife shoveling topsoil instead of his boys, and he said, oh, I could kill you, you know, and that was just a figure of speech, which I've said many times. And this is what led to his daughter being taken, the SWAT team being brought into court, and he had a heart problem. And when he walked in and saw all those armed people in the court, and don't forget this is back in the 90s, when we didn't even have security. So that was my first introduction. I have since then rescued many children from the Children's Aid, and I became appointed the Tariq Mosque Child Welfare Officer. And I believe I was the first woman invited to speak in the mosque at a child welfare session. Now, my background is quality assurance, and if you don't know what that means you go into a service, and you test it, you audit it. And when you find out what's wrong with it, you fix it, and then you go back and you audit it. You know what they do these days? They just send out a survey and ask you, are you satisfied with our service? And the way they word the questions, they get a 97% yes we are, which is what Halton is saying right now, when nothing is further from the truth. Absolutely nothing. My husband and I became community, health, safety and access advocates. We probably addressed Burlington City Council, which is our home, that's where we live. Probably we got the record for making the most delegations, till they decided council didn't like what we were saying, they didn't like the truth being exposed, and so, as of a year ago, we hadn't been allowed to go before council. So I was one of the first candidates, by the way, for Halton Chair, even before it was elected. In '97, I ran against, but the council appointed the particular person, but I put my name forward, letting them know I'm here to serve the families. And I can tell you, the chair of the region is also the chief executive officer. And my responsibility as chief executive officer is to foster activities that enhance the social, economic, and environmental well-being of all Halton residents. So I don't care whether you live in Oakville, whether you live in Burlington, Halton Hills, or Milton. You are my residents that I am here to protect. And I can tell you, our audits have shown what is happening in Halton is criminal. Dave and I'm also publishing a book in the spring, which is called Morden.ca, which the website is on my card out there. And this book is our autobiography, but it sets out also all the roadblocks we've come against, which has stopped us being the Halton we can be. A Halton that cares about every family, every level, and we need to come down, especially on our poverty statistics. That's one of my #1 things. So it's been a delight to be here. My cards are out there. Please call me with any of the issues you have, and I look forward to hearing from you. And please, October 22nd, do vote. And I would really appreciate the vote for Ann Marsden for Halton Chair. And I'd love to speak to any of you individually or as a group who would like to do that. Thank you.
Jacques Mulakov, Salam.